43% of the internet runs on WordPress, but the companies with the most traffic and the most at stake, they're choosing Webflow. I wanted to understand why, so I went deep on performance, security, cost, CMS, and design. All of it. And some of what I found genuinely surprised me. For context, we started Nexus Creative as a WordPress studio, built client sites on it for a couple of years, and then we switched to Webflow, for reasons I'll get into. But that means I've got real experience on both sides. Not just theory, real projects, real clients, and real headaches. But I recently got asked by a client what the difference is between the two. I hadn't done an in-depth comparison in years, so I wanted to see how the landscape looked in 2026. So in this video, I'm going to break down performance, design, flexibility, CMS, security, cost of ownership, and scalability. And at the end, I'll tell you exactly who should pick what, and whether we've decided to bring WordPress services back. Let's start with the thing everyone cares about first: speed. Webflow migrated to Cloudflare's CDN in 2025 and launched Webflow Cloud. What that means in practice: your site loads from the nearest server to your visitor. For 95% of people, that's under 50 milliseconds. Desktop load times sit around 2 seconds. And you don't configure any of this, it's just how Webflow works out of the box. Now, Webflow didn't used to be the most efficient. It loaded all of the CSS and JavaScript from the entire site on every page, even if that page didn't use it. But they've actually fixed that. It now only loads what each page needs. It's a huge improvement, and all you have to do is toggle a setting in the project settings. WordPress can absolutely be fast, but here's the catch. It depends on how you set it up. On managed hosting like WP Engine or Kinsta, time to first byte sits around 350 to 450 milliseconds. That's solid. But if you keep it lean, minimal plugins, good caching, a CDN, WordPress can load fast. The problem is, most WordPress sites aren't lean. Every plugin you add loads its own CSS and JavaScript files. Before you know it, you've got 15 plugins and your site is loading scripts it doesn't even need on that page. That's really common. WordPress 6.9, which shipped in December 2025, did add some needed improvement features. Native AVIF image support, that's better compression than WebP, and speculation rules API for near instant page loads. So it is getting better. But the gap is that Webflow gives you fast by default. WordPress gives you fast if you know what you're doing and stay disciplined about keeping things lean. For those who just want their site to be fast and doesn't want to think about it, Webflow wins this one. Now, design flexibility. This is where things get interesting, because both platforms have evolved a lot. Webflow gives you pixel-perfect CSS-level control in a visual editor. You're not dragging widgets into a grid. You're actually building the layout the way a developer would write code, but visually. Responsive breakpoints, flexbox, grid, it's all there. And then there's animations. In 2024, Webflow acquired GSAP, the Green Sock animation platform. If you don't know GSAP, it's the gold standard for web animations. It's what the best agencies in the world use, and now it's built into Webflow. The animations you can create are genuinely the best I've ever seen on any platform. Timeline-based scroll trigger, 3D transforms, and they're lightweight and easy to control. You don't need to write a single line of JavaScript. WordPress in 2026 has matured a lot too. Gutenberg with full site editing is genuinely capable now. And if you use a page builder like Elementor or Divi, you get drag and drop design that's pretty intuitive. But here's the trade-off. Every page builder adds code overhead. Elementor in particular has had notable security vulnerabilities, and the output isn't always clean. With WordPress page builders, you've got two systems generating code at the same time. When something breaks, and it will, you'll debug in 2 layers, not one. Webflow outputs clean, semantic HTML, one system, one output. For pure animation and motion, Webflow with GSAP is in a league of its own. For getting a template up fast with minimal design skill, WordPress page builders are fine. But for serious design control on a marketing site, Webflow wins this one. Let's talk about the content management system, usually referred to as a CMS. This is where WordPress has been the undisputed champion for 20 years. But 2025 might have changed things. Webflow launched their next-gen CMS in September 2025, and for most B2B companies, the item limits are plenty. And in January 2026, they shipped the content delivery API, so Webflow can now work as a headless CMS too. But if you're running a massive content operation, thousands of blog posts, a resource library, a marketplace, WordPress still has no upper limit. Your database is your limit. WordPress also has a deeper ecosystem for content modeling, advanced custom fields, WP GraphQL for headless setups. It's incredibly flexible, and native multilingual support is coming to WordPress 7.0, which is expected later this year. Webflow's localization works, but it starts at $9 a month per language for the basic plan. But here's the thing most people miss. CMS isn't just about how much content you can store. It's about who's editing it and how safe that is. Webflow separates the designer from the editor. Your marketing team updates content in a clean, locked-down interface. They literally cannot break the layout. And this is one of the things that makes Webflow a powerful tool for marketing teams. A good Webflow developer sets up components so your marketers can build entire landing pages on their own. With some of our clients, we built their site 2 or 3 years ago, and they haven't needed us for a single extra hour since. For most B2B companies with under 10,000 pages of content, Webflow CMS is more than enough, and it's safer. For content-heavy publishers or complex data models, WordPress still has the edge. Now, if you need a site that just works, fast, secure, without any plugin headaches, we can help. At Nexus Creative, we've helped companies like Antarctica 21 go from buggy and slow WordPress site to a Webflow build they can manage and scale themselves. Book a call below if you want to see if Webflow is the right fit for you. But either way, let's keep going. This is a section most comparison videos skip. Let's get into the security and maintenance reality. In 2024, WordPress saw 4,448 new security vulnerabilities. That's up 155% from the year before. And in 96% of those vulnerabilities came from plugins, not WordPress core. Plugins, the third-party code that you need to make WordPress actually do things. Now, I want to be fair. WordPress core is actually pretty solid. A well-maintained WordPress site with managed hosting and security plugins can be perfectly secure. But the numbers do tell a story. 35% of those vulnerabilities were still unpatched going into 2025. That's over 1,500 known security holes with no fix. And WordPress accounts for 95.6% of all CMS infections. And I'll be honest, this is one of the reasons we moved away from WordPress. Something would break on a client's site and we'd spend hours debugging it, only to find out one of the plugins updated and broke 3 other things. That wasn't rare, that was our life. Webflow eliminates this entire category of work. Automatic SSL with TLS 1.3, DDoS protection, Edge WAF, SOC 2 Type 2, and ISO certified. That was a bit of a mouthful. You don't think about security because it's handled at the platform level. And honestly, just not having to worry about whether a plugin update is going to take a site down is such a huge bonus. I can't overstate how much calmer things got when we stopped managing WordPress maintenance. For a B2B company in finance, healthcare, or any regulated industry, this is often the deciding factor. Not the design tools, not the pricing, the fact that you never have to worry about your website getting compromised because someone forgot to update a contact form plugin. Now let's talk about money, and I mean real money, not just a sticker price. WordPress looks cheaper on paper. The software is free, and I'll give credit where it's due. WordPress wins this one if budget is your priority. You can get shared hosting for a few dollars a month, and that's fine for a lot of businesses. Free themes, free plugins, unlimited team members without paying more. You can generally run a WordPress site for under $150 a year if you're willing to do the work yourself. But here's what that actually costs when you want a proper B2B website with real functionality. Managed hosting runs $300 to $800 a year. A plugin stack with SEO, security caching, forms, that's another $400 to $1,200 annually. And maintenance, even a few hours here and there can run you into the thousands by the end of the year. Webflow CMS plan is $276 a year. No security plugins, no caching plugins, no maintenance hours, hosting, CDN, SSL, security. It's all included. I made a video explaining Webflow's pricing, and you can click somewhere on the screen to watch it. Of course, you have to pay for every additional team member, and there's some other add-ons that you might need to keep in mind. So now there is a gotcha on the Webflow side. Developer rates for Webflow specialists can be a bit higher because the talent pool is smaller. If you're hiring a studio to build your site, a WordPress build might be cheaper upfront. But Webflow often saves you money in a different way. Development time is typically faster, and you don't need to budget for ongoing maintenance. So the real question isn't which platform costs less. It's which platform costs less over 3 years? And when you factor in maintenance, developer time, and the cost of things breaking, Webflow can often win that math. Before I give you my recommendation, which I think you probably know where I'm going with this, I need to mention something. In late 2024, Matt Mullenberg, the co-founder of WordPress and CEO of Automatic, got into a very public fight with WP Engine, one of the biggest WordPress hosting companies. The short version, Automatic blocked WP Engine customers from accessing WordPress.org resources. Plugin updates, theme downloads, cut off for paying customers of a major hosting provider, and the legal battle is still ongoing. Now, why does this matter if you're choosing a platform in 2026? Because it raises a real question. Can one person control access to an open source platform's resources for commercial users? WordPress is technically community run, but when one person controls WordPress.org and can restrict access to all at will, that's a governance risk. Now, I'm not saying WordPress is going to collapse. It won't. 43% of the web doesn't just disappear overnight. But if you're making a 10-year platform bet, governance matters. And right now, WordPress has an unresolved question at its core. All right, here's my honest take. Choose WordPress if you're running a massive content operation. Thousands of articles, complex taxonomies, multiple languages, or if you've got a dedicated dev team to maintain it long term. Budget the priority? WordPress can be done really cheaply if you're happy managing security and updates yourself. And if you need deep enterprise integrations or WooCommerce level e-commerce flexibility, WordPress is still a powerhouse. Choose Webflow if you're building a B2B website that needs to generate leads, rank on Google, and look premium. It's the right call when you don't have a dedicated developer and want your marketing team to not just update content, but build entire landing pages from components without breaking things or needing to hire a developer. It's also the right call when security and uptime matters more than plugin flexibility. When you want the best animations on the web without writing code, and remember that W3 text data I showed you at the start, the companies with the biggest audiences are choosing Webflow. That's not a coincidence. If you're a founder who's tired of paying a developer every time something breaks, or you need to update a headline, Webflow's probably just the right move. There's no wrong answer here, just wrong fits. So that's the honest comparison. Both platforms are good, just for different reasons. And you should be able to make the decision on your own now. That's the whole point. Now, did we decide to bring WordPress services back? Honestly, no. After going through all of this research, I'm more confident than ever that Webflow is the right platform for the types of companies that we work with. The security alone would keep me up at night. And the fact that our clients can manage their own sites without needing us, that's exactly how it should work in this day and age. If you want a Webflow site built specifically to grow your B2B business, from the CMS architecture to the SEO strategy to the conversion flows, you can book a call with us at Nexus Creative below. Thank you very much. Goodbye.